Let's get right into it. Number 8. The ketchup concussion. You know when you're at a diner, staring down a glass Heinz bottle, and you start smacking the bottom like you're trying to wake it up from a coma? Yeah, that move feels productive, but it's basically training the ketchup to hate you. Because here's the twist. Hitting the bottom is the wrong spot. According to Heinz, the bottle literally has a built-in target on the neck, the little embossed 57. That's not just branding, it's a crosshair. Ketchup is a non-Newtonian shear-thinning fluid, which is a fancy way of saying it doesn't behave like normal liquid. When you slam the bottom, you can actually pack the ketchup tighter near the neck, like you're compressing it into a stubborn, sauce-shaped traffic jam. The correct method is almost annoyingly specific. You hold the bottle at about a 4-5 degree angle, then firmly tap the 57 on the neck with 2 fingers. Not a punch, not a slap. Just a controlled tap right where the ketchup is trying to escape. That little vibration applies stress at the bottleneck, and the ketchup loosens up and starts flowing like it suddenly remembered it has a job. And the irony is perfect. The harder you hit the bottom, the more the ketchup fights back. Of course, this is completely useless for modern squeeze bottles, but in a glass bottle? Heinz basically wrote the instruction manual on the bottle, and we've been ignoring it like it's terms and conditions. Number 7. The blunt box cutter. Here's the weird part. That little plastic cap on the back of your snap blade utility knife? It's not just a lid. It's literally the safety tool the knife came with to snap off the dull blade without sending metal shrapnel into your face. Because when your box cutter gets dull, most people do one of 2 things. They either toss the whole knife like it's a disposable fork, or they grab pliers and start white-knuckling the blade at those diagonal score marks, praying it doesn't ping across the room. But on snap-off style knives, the fix is built into the handle. Pull off the back cap, look for the narrow slit. You slide that slit over the extended dull tip, line it up with the scored breakpoint, and bend. That's it. Mechanically, it's doing 2 jobs at once. It gives you perfect leverage right where the blade is meant to break, and it encloses the snapped-off piece so it doesn't shoot out like a tiny angry dart. It's basically a built-in cigar cutter, except the cigar is sharp enough to put you in the ER. And the irony? You've been risking your fingers and your eyeballs, while holding the safety equipment in the same hand the whole time. This idea goes back to 1956, when Yoshio Okada at Olfa invented the snap-off blade, supposedly inspired by snapping chocolate bars into neat segments. And those blade segments? They're usually sized around 9mm or 18mm wide, so you're not breaking the knife. You're just revealing a fresh edge it already had. One caveat: this only works on snap-off cutters. If you've got a fixed blade utility knife, this trick is irrelevant. But if your knife has those break lines and a removable tail cap, congratulations. You've been upgrading your blade the hard way for no reason. Number 6. The stapler's secret switch. Everyone thinks a stapler only does one thing: permanently fuse 2 pieces of paper together until the end of time. Which is why later you're hunched over your desk doing delicate surgery with your fingernails, trying to pry out a staple like it personally insulted your family. They're wrong. Your stapler has a temporary mode. You just never turned it on. Flip your stapler over and look at the little silver metal plate on the base, the anvil, the part the staple legs slam into. On a lot of standard desk staplers, that plate can rotate. There's usually a tiny button or latch underneath it. Press it, rotate the anvil 180 degrees, and suddenly the grooves are shaped differently. In the normal setting, the staple legs bend inward. That's clinching. It locks the pages together like a deadbolt, but rotate the anvil and the legs bend outward instead. That's called pinning. The papers stay together for a meeting, a quick read, or a temporary stack, and when you're done, you can basically slide them apart and the staple comes out without a remover, without torn pages, without sacrificing a thumbnail. Mechanically, it's genius. Same stapler, same staples, 2 different crimping grooves. One makes a permanent lock, the other makes a gentle hook. The punchline is brutal. You've spent years fighting staples like they're tiny metal enemies, when one little switch turns them into harmless paper clips. One caveat: mini staplers and ultra-cheap plastic ones sometimes skip this feature to save money. But if yours has a rotating anvil, congratulations! You've been living in stapler hard mode for no reason. Number 5. The solo measuring tape. So why don't we just measure a wall by ourselves like normal adults, without the tape slipping off the edge every 3 seconds? Because you've been treating the tape measure like it's broken when it's actually doing tiny little calculations for you. That wobbly metal hook on the end, the part that jiggles and feels loose, that's not damage, that's design. It moves on purpose to compensate for its own thickness, so your measurement stays accurate whether you're hooking the end onto something or pushing it up against something. That tiny play is basically the tape measure going, "Don't worry, I got the math." Now look closer at the hook. See that little hole or slot in the front? That's not decoration. It's sized to catch a standard nail head. You tap a nail in, hook the hole over it, and walk backward. The tape stays anchored. No slipping. No, "Hey, can you hold this for 1 second?" from across the room. You just became your own second person. And then there's the bottom edge, those little jagged teeth. That's a built-in scribe. If you don't have a pencil, you press the hook down and drag it to scratch a clean mark into wood or even drywall. It's like the tape measure packed a tiny anchor and a tiny pencil and never told you. The outcome is stupidly satisfying. One-person measurements, cleaner marks, fewer redos, and way less yelling at a helper who's absolutely holding it wrong. Punchline? The tape measure you thought was busted is actually the only tool in your toolbox that's quietly doing math for you. Number 4. The upside-down bobby pin. This is basically like wearing sneakers with the tread facing the sky, and then being shocked you're slipping, because almost everyone puts bobby pins in wavy side up, and that's exactly backward. You slide one in to hold a strand. 10 minutes later, it starts drifting out like it has an appointment somewhere else. So you add a second, then a third. And suddenly, your head is held together with 5 cents of metal and pure desperation. Here's the twist. You're fighting gravity because you inserted the pin upside down. Look at a bobby pin. One side is flat, the other side is crinkled, zigzagged like tiny ridges. Most people naturally put the wavy side facing outward because it looks like the working side. But the wavy side is supposed to face down, pressing against your scalp. That crinkled edge is the grip. It acts like tire tread. When it's against your head, the corrugations create friction points that bite into the hair underneath and keep it from sliding. The flat side goes on top, like a rigid clamp, holding everything in place. So when you wear it wavy side up, you've basically put the grippy part in the air and left the smooth metal against your hair, which is like trying to hold a stack of papers with 2 butter knives. Do it the correct way, and 1 pin can hold better than 3 worn backward. And the punchline is brutal. We spent a century prioritizing how a cheap little piece of metal looks over how it actually works. Number 3. The oven's secret heater. One day you're baking something, normal cookies, a casserole, Thanksgiving chaos, and you open that bottom drawer to grab a pan, and you discover your plastic lids have turned into a glossy, toxic modern art piece. And that's when it hits you. That drawer isn't a drawer. It's been a heater this whole time. Here's the twist. On a lot of traditional ovens, that bottom compartment was engineered to be a warming drawer, not storage, not a bonus cabinet. A low-heat holding zone designed to keep food hot while the main dish finishes up top. And once you know that, the whole kitchen finally makes sense. You're supposed to slide finished stuff down there, rolls, mashed potatoes, side dishes, so they stay at serving temperature instead of going cold on the counter while you're waiting on the turkey like it's a NASA launch. Mechanically, it's simple. That compartment sits under the oven and captures gentle radiant heat or exhaust warmth, turning it into this cozy little 130 to 150 degree zone. It's basically heated seats for your dinner secondary warmth that keeps everything comfortable, not cooked into oblivion. The irony is brutal. You've been eating cold rolls while your muffin tins were enjoying a perfectly controlled spa day down there. Now, huge caveat, this one is not universal. Some cheaper modern electric ranges really do have a storage drawer, and on some older gas ovens, that bottom area can actually be a broiler with direct heat. So you have to check your manual before you start parking your dinner down there like it's valet service. But if yours is a warming drawer, congrats, you didn't need more counter space. You needed to stop using a built-in appliance feature as a hazardous closet. Number 2, the spaghetti cheat code. This shouldn't work, but it does. The giant hole in the middle of your spaghetti spoon, it's not just there so boiling water can drip back into the pot. It's basically a portion control calculator that's been sitting in your drawer, silently watching you overcook pasta for years. Because you know the routine. You're making spaghetti for 1 person. You grab a handful of dry noodles, you second guess it, you add just a few more, and 10 minutes later you've boiled enough carbs to feed a small village, plus leftovers for the next 3 business days. Here's the twist. The spoon you use at the end of cooking was trying to help you at the beginning. That center hole is usually a very specific size, roughly around an inch, give or take. Before the water even boils, you take your dry spaghetti and slide it through that hole. Whatever bundle fits snugly inside that circle is 1 serving, roughly the standard adult portion, about 2 ounces, or 57 grams of dry, long pasta. Mechanically, it's just volumetric measurement. Pack enough spaghetti into a fixed size circle, and you end up with a pretty consistent weight like a coin sorter slot. But for carbs and regret, and the irony is perfect. The tool you reach for after the pasta's already cooked has been begging you to use it before you even start. Now, caveat this works best with the classic circular hole spoons and straight long pasta. Some fancy designer spoons get cute with the shape, and then the measurement turns into modern art. And obviously, it's not for penne. Penne doesn't do circles. Penne does chaos. But if your spoon has that clean round hole, congrats. You've had a spaghetti cheat code this whole time, and you've been ignoring it like it's the skip tutorial button. Number 1. The Great Plumbing Deception. Imagine your toilet clogs. You panic, you grab that classic cartoon plunger, the red rubber half ball on a wooden stick, and you start plunging like your life depends on it. And then it flips, burps, and splashes toilet water all over your shoes. That's exactly what happens when you use the wrong plunger for the job. Here's the twist. That classic red cup plunger everyone owns? That's a sink plunger, not a toilet plunger. Pop culture basically trained us that the flat-bottom red cup is the universal bathroom weapon, but toilets don't have flat surfaces. They have a curved, sloped drain opening, which means that cup can't form a proper seal. And plunging without a seal is just aggressive stirring. You're not pushing pressure into the clog. You're letting it escape around the sides while launching disgusting splashback like a bonus feature. What you actually need is a flange plunger. It looks almost the same, except it has an extra rubber sleeve called a flange hanging out of the bottom. That sleeve is designed to slide right into the toilet's drain pipe, creating a tight seal. Now when you push, the pressure goes straight into the clog instead of sideways into the abyss. It clears faster, with way less drama, and without turning your bathroom into a biohazard splash zone. Mechanically, it's simple hydrodynamics. Plunging works when you can build pressure and suction. A flat cup on a curved bowl leaks. The flange plugs into the opening and forces the pressure linearly, like blowing up a balloon, by actually sealing your lips around it instead of yelling air at it from an inch away. And the irony is perfect. You've been fighting a war in your bathroom with the completely wrong weapon, just because it looked right in cartoons. Best part? A flange plunger costs about the same as the cup one, and it's basically universal. You can use it on a sink if you just tuck the flange up inside the cup. But you cannot, no matter how angry you get, bully a flat cup plunger into working well on a toilet. So yeah, the toilet plunger you grew up with was a lie, and your shoes have suffered for it. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.